Hello guys, this is your friend. We are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto gets a Doujutsu that lets him charm any woman and build harem, part 4. And if you enjoy this fanfic, then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. She was standing in the middle of the room, facing the, well, stunned was the best word, Jiraiya, Sarutobi and the senior advisors. The reason for their, and most of the crowd's reaction wasn't that she was from the waist down, but what she was doing. She was using her right hand to slowly stroke the 2-inch thick, 19-inch long, hard as her left hand fondled her grapefruit-sized balls. I have the Kitsune sisters, so why not a pair of flower girls? Sakura's tits are the flower, Naruto said. And my giant futa is the stem, Ino exclaimed, using both hands to wave her new like a sword. Looks like our princess just got promoted to queen, you know what that means. Inami said and smiled. Inoichi sighed. Hi, at home, not here. Tonight, 9 o'clock, Ino asked and her mother nodded. Okay Ino, put that thing away and go stand by Sakura. Naruto said. Ino went limp in under 2 seconds, grabbed her skirt and panties and ran over to Sakura, giving her a kiss before she started getting dressed. Didn't think I'd see a rare snake, a one-eyed Inoconda. Anko said with a perverted grin. Ino, Sakura and a few other laughed. Okay, who's next? Naruto asked. And don't raise your hand Anko, I don't need to ask what you want. Am I being that transparent? Anko asked. Yes, most of the room said together. Anko smiled proudly. Good, for a moment there I thought I was losing my touch. Hey Naruto, Tenten has the fox, but how are you at other animals? Tsume asked. What do you mean? Naruto replied, curious. Tenten foxed Siko, could you, dog me up? Tsume said then saw Naruto close his eyes briefly. Naruto opened his eyes 5 seconds later with a small smile. Kyuubi-chan said that although similar to foxes she doesn't know dogs, sorry, would a wolf work, she has sampled those. Tsume was pouting sadly when Naruto said no, but lit up when he said wolves. Oh yeah, that'll work. She said with a big feral smile. How much do you want to be changed? Naruto asked, then smiled. Wait, come here Tsume, I want to try something. Tsume nodded and walked over to Naruto. Look into my eyes, I haven't tried this yet, but Kyuubi says I can do it. Ino, Kurenai, I'll need both of you to help me master this ability. I even came up with a name for it, mind's eye gaze. Naruto said and they nodded. Naruto turned back to Tsume, activated level 2 in his new ability. Everyone watched them a few moments when Naruto broke his gaze. Whoa, that was intense. Are you like that all the time? Naruto said. Tsume smiled and nodded. Hi, since I was 9 years old. So can you do it? If you weren't such a bitch I'd kick your and send you home, turn around. Naruto said, pulling a kunai at the end. When she turned he cut a small slit in the back of her pants near the waistband. Take off your shoes and look at me. Hana sighed in amusement as she slowly shook her head, a big smile on her face. Naruto advanced his eyes to level 3 and clenched his fists tightly. Everyone watched in fascination as Tsume transformed. Her upper body, shoulders and upper arms tripled in muscle mass. Her neck lengthened a few inches, her ears got longer and became pointed as they moved up, but not fully onto the top of her head. Her upper and lower jaw extended into a 5-inch muzzle full of long sharp teeth. Her hair grew down to her waist, a furry, 4-foot-long tail popped out of the new hole in her pants. Her fingers and toes became clawed, her legs became lupine, and her swelled under her shirt and vest several cup sizes. Finally black fur covered her exposed skin. And the rest they couldn't see. When I heard, is it, or bestiality? Anko said with a big perverted smile. Everyone paused a moment, then shrugged. I doubt she'll be the last, and with Tenten's new clan. I'm officially ruling it, as they're still one of my shinobi, or citizens. Sarutobi said. Not that it matters to me, but thanks old man. Anko said and gave him a nod. I also gave you the ability to change at will, so do it soon, you can test your abilities at home. Naruto said. Sume nodded and in just under 5 seconds changed back to normal, an ear-to-ear smile on her face. I know. I'm so getting later. Naruto said with a grin. You know it. Sume said then slipped her sandals back on and returned to her place. That should cover the basics. Basically, anything I can imagine, I can do to you. I may be able to reverse injuries, but I don't know, we'll have to check that later. Does anyone have any questions? What about age? If you can alter our bodies on the level 1, think you can, could you make an old person young? Tsunade said, glancing at her former sensei. Naruto thought a minute, the room totally silent except for light breathing. Sort of. According to Kyuubi, I have 2 abilities at level 3 that can sort of do that, but I don't know if I can, or should, use both on someone. What do you mean? Tsunade asked, holding her, very piqued, interest. I mentioned healing a minute ago, these are both different from that. The first ability can restore your full health, this doesn't change your body, I don't think, but I've never done it. The other ability I was warned not to use with my chakra alone because it'll weaken even Kyuubi briefly, but I can temporarily, and how long this is depends on the person, restore your youth. But when that energy is used up you'll return to your normal age. For someone like Sarutobi-sama, this would be at least 30 minutes, but no more than an hour, and you'd probably collapse afterwards. The room was dead silent, until Sarutobi broke it. Is the health restoration permanent? Naruto paused a moment. Hi. Demonstrate this ability, on me. Sarutobi said and stood. Hokage you. Homura said. He didn't trust Naruto, no matter what anyone said. Silence. Sarutobi commanded with his full, Hokage voice. Everyone in the room froze, they rarely saw this side of him, and despite everything, he still commanded everyone's respect. He wasn't called the god of shinobi for nothing, he'd earned that nickname. Does anyone here think I shouldn't have my strength back so I can enjoy being a grandfather? Sarutobi asked. No one so much as twitched. That's what I thought, Sarutobi said, walked out into the room and nodded to Naruto. Everyone watched intently, but none more than Tsunade and Jiraiya. This will have to be my last demonstration, even for Kyuubi this uses a lot of chakra. I don't want to use too much here, I still have all my girls and want to spend the day with them. Naruto said, seeing all his friends nod, the women smiled happily, some pervertedly. He glanced at Hinata and Hana, gave them a signal with his eyes, they nodded and activated their Byakugan. Hinata watched as an image of Naruto made of usually invisible chakra form around him, then stretched its right arm out and into Sarutobi's chest. She saw chakra start flowing from Naruto into the Hokage. Focusing her full attention of Sarutobi, she watched the changes happen. While only a Hyuga or Med Nin scanning him would notice, to her it was incredible. After a minute Naruto stopped and the giant chakra ghost vanished. Mom, do you see what I do? Hi, it's incredible. Tsunade, check him with a jutsu. Hana said. Tsunade moved immediately, her curiosity almost too much to hold in. Finishing the hand signs as she reached him, Tsunade ran her green glowing hands over her former sensei, scanning him as only she could. Sarutobi felt incredible. He hadn't felt this strong in decades, but was holding it in until Tsunade confirmed what he hoped, as this could just be Naruto's chakra running through him. Well, he asked when she finished. Tsunade was smiling like an idiot. If I didn't know better. I'd say you're in your 30s. You're in as good a shape as anyone in the room. As one of the few people that can say this, you shouldn't have any more old man problems, but I want to see you in a week for a full examination. Tsunade smiled slightly. Because with my help Naruto's going have every woman in every country throwing themselves at his feet, me included, and begging him to make them young, beautiful and strong. He won't have to charm them, they'll beg to be his subby whore. Sarutobi nodded. Thank you for the entertaining demonstrations, Naruto, but I believe we understand the extent of your new abilities, so everyone is dismissed. Anyone that wants a private modification be at my place at 1 o'clock, I'll be rested by then. Tsunade and Shizune stay here for that other business. Naruto said. A few minutes, and a lot of kisses later, everyone had left the office, then Naruto sealed it and turned to Sarutobi, who was back in his chair. I have 2 special requests to make, but before I do there's something you have to see. Tsunade sighed, stepped out into the middle of the room, and dropped her pants. Naruto made me a futa. Sarutobi's eyes got big for a moment as he calculated how big she'd be aroused. He also noticed her blush. You can pull up your pants now, thank you, Tsunade. I assume you aren't charmed yet? He asked, and she shook her head as she dressed. You have my word I won't tell anyone. She smiled. Kami, that was embarrassing. Tsunade said. It'll be worth it, Tsunade-chan, trust me. As to my favors, I'd like Shizune to be made head of the hospital, and Tsunade made an emergency specialist, but she's only to be called for the worst cases. Shizune will know when that is, and should be the only person allowed to make that decision. Naruto said. Sarutobi thought a few moments. Agreed. My other favor. I want to give that 40-acre lot to Tsunade for a special resort hotel she'll run. We can have the plans to you in a week. Naruto said and gave him a perverted smile. Since this could be an excellent source of revenue for Konoha, I agree. Was that all? The third said. Naruto nodded. Dismissed. Sarutobi said. 12:54 p.m. Naruto's apartment . Naruto stepped out of his bedroom, sighed and shook his head slowly, a smirk on his face. You were supposed to wait for me. I'm guessing Hinata let you all in, bunch of horny bitches. You're horny bitches, Naruto-sama, we all want our upgrades. Enko said with a big perverted smile. Naruto looked at the group. Every A-list girl was there, from Hanabi to Hotaru, and except for Tsunade, they were all. Okay. Everyone in the playroom, I'll be there in 5 minutes. Naruto said. They all nodded and headed out. 1:02 p.m. Playroom . I should punish you all for this, but most of you would enjoy it. Let's make this easy. If you want bigger tits, move to the left wall. If you want to be a few to the right wall, everyone else move to the far wall from me. Facing Naruto at the end of the huge rectangular room, 12 went to the tits wall, 7 to the futa wall, and the rest backed up to the other wall. Naruto looked at the groups. Most of them didn't surprise him, a few did. Okay. Let's do the tits first, in small groups. Shizune, Asuka and Yushima. They moved out into the center, 10 feet from Naruto. You all know what you want. They nodded to his question. You first, Shizune, step up. Shizune did as told, smiling happily, and looked into his eyes. A few moments later she felt her chest heat up, specifically her. She looked down and watched them broaden at the bases, then without losing any fullness, they stretched down to her full bush as her areola widened to 6 inches and puffed up slightly. The warm feeling faded and she gave her new girls a quick once-over. I love 'em. Thank you, Naruto-kun. Tsunade grinned, lightly amused. I'm a little surprised. I expected a set of firm melons at least as big as mine. I didn't think you were the type to want a pair of hangers. I like 'em though, you look good with all that cleavage. I agree. Oh, and Tsunade, she also wants piercings and tattoos. Naruto said. Among other things she'll get later. He thought. Tsunade gave an amused sigh as she slowly shook her head. It's always the quiet ones. Shizune smiled, then stepped back in line. Asuka stepped forward and cupped her full but sagging C cups. Make these into firm E cups, she said, giving them a brief jiggle, then grabbed her mound with her right. And I'd like this make into a overgrown jungle like Anko's. No problem, Naruto said, waited a moment for her to move her hand, then gave her what she wanted. Asuka looked at her new body and smiled. Much better. Thanks Naruto-kun. You should have gotten your enhanced, stubby. Anko yelled from the Fuda wall, with a big smile. Asuka gave Anko the finger, with a smirk, then got back in line as everyone laughed. Yushima stepped out. Double F cup and heavy. She said calmly. Naruto changed her, then the next group stepped up. Kosuke Fujino, Inami Yamanaka and Yoshino Nara. Naruto gave each what they wanted. Kosuke's E cups got firmer, rounder and bouncier, Inami's D cups grew to long F cups and hung almost down to her navel, and Yoshino's C cups swelled to soft round H cups. Then she moved into the feudal line, shocking and/or surprising most of the women there. Next up were two civilians in a kunoichi. Sakari Haruno got her C cups pumped to E cups, Ayame became a full FF cup, and Hana Inuzuka, who most agreed was one of the most beautiful women in Konoha due in part to her impressive E cups, didn't get enlarged. She got them doubled, she got a second pair added directly below her originals. This shocked everyone, even Naruto at first when he saw in her mind what she wanted. He was glad he could do it because it opened the door to a whole world of fun, as did his transformation of Sume earlier. This fact wasn't missed by Tsunade, who was running dozens of perverted and medical ideas through her mind. The last three were the youngest in attendance. First was Neji, who got her increased to full, meaty F cups. Next was little Hanabi, though still a virgin, to her minor annoyance, got a small jumpstart on the body she wanted, with a nice set of fat, bouncy, D cups. Finally was his longtime girl, and the only other virgin in the room, Moegi, who now matched her mother Moko with a set of soft, round, E cups. The feudal line was about the same, except that they stayed by the wall and Naruto moved down the line so everyone could watch them changed. First up was the very excited Anko Mitarashi, who a set of balls like Hisame's, but after seeing what Hana got couldn't resist, and was given two, 19 inches long, 2.5 inches wide, that hung from her mound above and to each side of her slit. That made her very happy, but she pouted sadly when Naruto told her that like Hisame they won't get any bigger. That made many laugh. Then Kakishi got a 14 inches as thick as Anko's with low hanging. After Yoshino got back in line, Naruto turned to the remaining women. Okay, I think I know what you pervs want. Raise your hand if you want to get marked like Siko-chan. Naruto asked, then smirked when almost half the hands went up. Who want another animal? Naruto laughed when all but three of the remaining girls, not counting Tenten and Siko, raised a hand. Okay, everyone that wants to join the Kitsune clan move out here. Tenten, would you join me? Naruto said. Of course, this is gonna be fun. Having all these bitches under my foot. Tenten said with a big sadistic smile, then flinched when Naruto coughed and she saw his glare. I was kidding, really, you guys are like family, and in a few minutes you really will be. Cheeky lil bitch. Ino said playfully. Go yourself, Ino-chan. Tenten said with a big perverted smile. Many started laughing, until Ino gave her, almost signature, idea squeal. Ino, you can't be serious. Sakura asked. I am. Ino said with a huge, perverted smile. That I have to see, Ino, you better invite me or you'll be hanging from my ceiling by your balls. Anko said. Ino swallowed nervously for a moment, then smiled and nodded. Hi, Anko-chan. Is this normal Naruto-kun? Hisame asked. Naruto laughed. No, this is a quiet day actually. Naruto said, and everyone but Tsunade and Shizune laughed. From his seat in the lobby of Tsunade's special women-only resort, the sanctuary, Naruto looked at the door to the changing room and smiled as Anko walked out wearing her trenchcoat, and nothing else, her twin swinging between her legs. The scroll in her left hand had her clothes sealed in it. She dropped it in her pocket as she got close, smiling pervertedly as she looked past him. What happened? Anko asked, motioning at Tsunade sitting on the couch, legs wide. Kneeling on the floor between her legs was Shizune, her head bobbing up and down. Naruto laughed softly. Shizune got Tsunade to run the obstacle course without chakra, but on the balance beam crossing over the water, she threw a senbon into the backs of her knees. Tsunade fell into the water. Anko smirked, then looked slightly confused. That's funny, but not enough to make Shizune swallow that horse of hers. We know Shizune doesn't like to do it. There has to be something else. There is. When Tsunade slipped, she didn't fall off, she fell straight down, straddling the beam. Naruto said with a big smirk. Anko's eyes opened wide. That beam was only 4 inches wide. You mean Tsunade busted on her balls? Yes, I was there, you could almost hear it, she literally landed on her balls. The look on her face was priceless, then she just slid off the side and fell in. When she came out of the water she was holding the senbon in her left hand, and she was pissed. Shizune is lucky I was there or, Naruto said. She'd be in the hospital getting Tsunade's sandal removed from her. Anko interrupted. Naruto nodded then laughed a few moments. You here to cause trouble? Not today Naruto-kun. Meeting Gurren and Yugo by the pool for a little sunbathing, can't let our all-over tans fade, we have images to uphold. Yeah, as bitches, it has to be the purple hair, you know Amy looks up to you three. Naruto said. You broke her years ago, you know she wouldn't do anything to upset you, and none of us will break any rules either Naruto, you've had every female in Konoha by the for years and you know it, so don't even act like this is a new talk. Anko said firmly, but politely. Just having a little fun with you, tomorrow is graduation after all. Naruto said. And the party is gonna be legendary. Anko said as a huge smile crossed her face. Naruto chuckled. Go on you crazy bitch, don't keep them waiting. Anko nodded, leaned in and kissed him, then headed for the back door. July 5th, 9:02 a.m., Academy, homeroom Iruka walked out of the testing room with Naruto, who was wearing his new Hitai-ite, and they both stopped in front of Iruka's desk when they noticed a certain girl's seat appeared to be empty and she was nowhere to be seen. Naruto glanced at Hinata who silently activated her Byakugan a moment, smiled, nodded and deactivated it. How could you fail me Iruka-sensei? Naruto exclaimed. A muffled scream was heard from the empty spot, then muffled sounds. A moment later Ino sat up. How could you fail Naruto-kun, and I bit my. Ino said angrily, then glanced around, noticing that everyone was smiling at her, saw Naruto had a new Hitai-ite on his forehead and swallowed nervously. Iruka sighed as he slowly shook his head. Everyone. Ino. Don't suck you're in class. The class said in unison. Ino. Is it bleeding? Naruto asked. No. But it hurts, can't believe I fell for that, and bit myself. I'm so embarrassed. Ino said. Sakura, do the honors. Naruto said. Sakura smiled, stood, moved next to Ino and used a healing jutsu on her. Iruka waited a few moments for Sakura to finish. Now if you're ready Ino, it's your turn. I didn't even get to come. Ino grumbled quietly to herself. I'm ready Iruka-sensei. Ino exclaimed. Sakura giggled quietly, she'd heard Ino. As Ino moved she giggled. Ino. Sakura said and pointed down. Ino paused, saw Sakura point, looked down and gave an, oops, I forgot, smile. Just a sec Iruka-sensei. Ino said then tucked her long, soft back into her panty pouch and adjusted her big balls to be comfortable. Much better Ino-chan, you can finish later. I'll help. Sakura said and winked. Ino smiled, gave Sakura a kiss then dashed down the stairs to take her final test. 9:15 a.m. Iruka collected the last group of forms, thumbed through them as he walked back to his desk, then smiled briefly as he put them in a folder then tucked it under his arm before he turned toward the class. You've all passed your finals and signed the forms, congratulations, you're all now genin. I'll read your team assignments, then you'll have until 10 o'clock to get better acquainted. Iruka said then laughed briefly. We're already very acquainted with each other. Ino said after hopping up onto her chair, then did a brief air hump. Everyone laughed. Ino, sit down or the next thing that touches your crotch will be my foot. Uruka said, and Ino paled. And before you tell me I can't do that because you're just 12, you're a genin now, an adult. I could bring you down here, strip you, bust your balls and carry you to Hokage-sama by that 2 foot you're so proud of. Ino couldn't get back into her seat fast enough, both hands over her crotch. I'm sorry, Ino said meekly. While she'd been ball-busted a few times since her transformation, unlike some Futa girls, she didn't enjoy it. Naruto laughed. No one else made a sound. Now, the team assignments are. Uruka said. Naruto glanced around at his classmates. It was graduation. He was finally, officially, a genin and about to be put on a team. The last 2 years had been awesome. He'd been on 8 secret missions for the old man, who was actually back in his prime physically. He'd met and charmed many women, brought some new kunoichi to Konoha, like Gurren from Rain, and to the Raikage's annoyance, won Samui, Karui and Mabui from him in a great bet, and while she stayed in Lightning, he unofficially owned Yugito. He didn't have to charm her to have her, but did anyway. Then there were the various princesses he'd charmed, and for most, saved their country from various plots that would have caused a lot of trouble for them in a few years. Haruna of Vegetable Country, Koyuki of Snow Country, who was also a movie star and had connections he could use in the future, plus she was a great lay. Then there was one of his favorite princesses, Shion of Demon Country, who was his age and naturally almost as busty as Hinata. His last secret mission was one of his favorites. Word had spread about him, well among the kunoichi of the nations, which is how he got the mission to Mist to help replace the 4th Mizukage with his newest lover, the 5th Mizukage, Mei Terumi. Talk about hot. Plus, his training, all the jutsu he'd learned, and the missions, had unlocked a second level 3 ability. He was brought of his thoughts when his name was called. Team 7 is Naruto Uzumaki, Hinata Hyuga, and Tenten. Uruka announced, then subtly smirked. All but the 2 named girls pouted sadly. They were cheering. Your sensei is Kakishi Hatake. Uruka said, then motioned to quiet down. Team 8 is Kiba Inuzuka, Ino Yamanaka and Sakura Haruno. Your sensei is Kurenai Uehi. The 3 girls cheered happily for a few moments. Team 9 is Shikamaru Nara, Choji Akamichi and Sasuke Uchiha. Your sensei is, Uruka said, then noticed the subtle expression on Shikamaru's face. Asuka Sarutobi. Shikamaru sighed with relief. Thanked Kami. He said tiredly, but with, mostly, restrained excitement. Everyone laughed. They knew which sensei he didn't want, the exercise freak. Sasuke smiled. Briefly, he had an all-male team, and they were skilled as well. We'll be top team. Dream on, Sasuke. Naruto said. Uruka shook his head in amusement. Team 10 is Rock Lita, Neji Hyuga and Shino Aburame. Your sensei. As the great Might Mai. Lita interrupted proudly, standing, right fist in the air. Hi. And Lita, remember what I told Ino. Uruka said with gave her a, rare for him, sadistic smile. I apologize Uruka-sensei, forgive me. Lita said, bowed and sat down, doing her best to cover the big bulge in her tight green spandex that was her big balls and thick, foot-long, futa. Naruto, and several girls, quietly laughed. Now, your sensei should be here between 10 o'clock and 10:30 to get you. Feel free to move around and sit with your new teammates and get better acquainted if you aren't already. Uruka said, then hardened his expression. I mean talk, nothing more, at least until after your sensei has dismissed you for the day. Understood? Everyone nodded. Good. I'd hate to have to castrate someone for breaking the rules. Uruka smiled very Anko-like, grabbed his papers and left the room, internally laughing at their shocked expressions. He couldn't actually castrate anyone, but they didn't need to know that. 10 a.m. Kurenai Uehi, sensei of Team 8. Please come with me, Kurenai said from the doorway. How do you know she's be first Naruto-kun? Kiba asked. Naruto briefly laughed. You only know Kurenai as a woman. I know her as a kunoichi, And when Kurenai Yuahi is on duty, she's never late. Kurenai is very anal. The girls interrupted Naruto with giggling. Until he glared at them, about rules. You should have said strict, Naruto-kun. Kurenai said with a slight smirk, since that was true. Naruto kissed Kiba, Ino and Sakura. Get out of here, horny little bitches. And damn proud of it. Ino said, then lead the other two across the room and followed Kurenai out. A moment later they heard Kurenai yelling from down the hall. Pull up your panties, you stop encouraging her and act like a jonin. Lita leapt to her feet. She's here, Lita exclaimed excitedly. Where are my youthful students? Might Mai exclaimed from the doorway. The bulge in the right leg of her green spandex tights told everyone her thick, 14-inch futa was semi-erect. Mai, you're showing. Naruto called out. Mai looked down and slightly blushed from embarrassment. She focused a few moments and pushed down her arousal, which wasn't easy with her powerful libido. Forgive me, Ino is a very youthful girl. Lita grabbed her teammates and almost dragged them out of the room. Neji had a smirk on her face. Shino just glanced back at the class and shrugged his shoulders. Shino is so doomed. I almost feel bad for him, almost. Naruto said with a smile. We got lucky, the only woman we have to deal with is Asuka-sensei. Shikamaru said. Then it looks like Choji will be balls deep in some hot, young, kunoichi before either of you. Tenten said. Choji face planted on his desk, out cold. Naruto laughed. Hinata giggled. They found it funny that even after everything he'd seen and heard in the last 2 years, Choji still fainted at some things. That's fine with me, Shikamaru said tiredly. I'm not dating until I'm a jonin and find a woman that will strengthen our bloodline. Sasuke said. Oh, there's a shock. Naruto said dryly. Pervert. Sasuke replied with a smirk. Virgin. Naruto shot back, then smiled when every girl in class laughed. Shikamaru just sighed and laid his head down on his arms. 12:10 p.m. Academy roof . I knew you'd make it on time. Now, let's. Kakishi said, leaning against the wall. Shut up. Naruto interrupted. We all know each other and you know what we can do. Hinata, Tenten, I'm sorry I kept this from you, but I also know there's a final test before you make us official. You can skip that because you know we'll pass. You're going to make us official, or I'll yank that mask off your face and make you suck my, not that you'd mind. Naruto commanded calmly. But Naruto, you said I wouldn't have to show anyone else my face until you. Kakishi said and froze when Naruto stood and stepped up to her, as she was only one stride away from him. She saw his right hand start moving up towards her big futa balls. Please no, Naruto-sama, not in front of them. I'm your sensei now and. Naruto smiled up at her. I never promised not to. He said, his hand almost to the bulge in her pants. Kakishi hated to admit it, but despite her age, experience and rank, one of her fetishes, known only to Naruto, was she truly loved getting her balls busted, literally, by Naruto. If he grabbed her balls, her 14-inch futa would be steel hard in a second and she'd be too horny to resist. Okay. Kakishi exclaimed, then hung her head. Naruto's hand stopped a 1/4 inch from her package. We're official? Naruto asked. Kakishi nodded. Girls, this didn't happen, understood? Hi, Naruto-kun, Hinata and Tenten said together. Thank you for protecting my image, Naruto-kun. Everyone knows I'm yours anytime you want me, as is every other Leaf Kunoichi, but you let us maintain our public images so outsiders respect us. Kakishi said. Naruto cupped Kakishi's balls. She let out a whimpering moan of fear and pleasure. Don't worry, I won't squeeze, I know what it does to you. Now, how about we go back to my apartment and you can get in close to Hinata and Tenten as you are to me and enjoy your body any way they want. That means they get to see you face and abuse your endowments like I do. Agree to be their subby whore for today, and I'll upgrade you first. Kakishi's visible right eye opened wide. Tits, balls and, she asked excitedly, and Naruto nodded. Any modification from the body book, up to A rank, and I'll do anything they want without restriction, for a week. The normal limit is B rank, and you know how Mai and Anko will react, but for a week. Deal. Naruto said. Thank you Naruto-kun. Shall we go, my temporary mistresses? Kakishi said and gave them a bow. The girls stood, then all three followed Kakishi to Naruto's apartment. 12:30 p.m., Naruto's apartment, playroom. Naruto stood between his two best girls, his alpha Hinata, proudly showing off her all-natural H-cup, and to his left was his other teammate and bodyguard, Tenten, showing off her massive black bush she decided to stop shaving off, and her full, firm, all-natural D-cups, her almost 2-inch long nipples fully erect. In her hybrid or full kitsune form they were H-cups. Tenten had her hair down for Naruto, which was currently to mid-calf. Kakishi walked out of the locker room only wearing her mask, which covered her face from just under her eyes, the left being closed. To her body was lean and sleek, her skin highlighted, but didn't outline the hard muscle beneath like it did her friendly rival Might Mai. Her E-cup were plump, her 14-inch gently bounced with her lemon-sized balls as she walked. She stopped about 8 feet from Naruto. You decided what you want? Naruto asked. Hi. Increase my tits a cup size, my balls a full level, add 8 inches to my. Kakishi sighed. I want to be the best sensei I can so. I accept your offer to fix the control problem with my Sharingan eye. Hinata and Tenten gasped. Naruto smiled. Are you sure? You know it'll mess up your control and you'll need to train a few weeks to get it back. I know, but you'll be doing D-rank missions for the first month at least, so that'll give me the time I need. You know what a drain it is on my chakra because it's always on, being able to turn it off like the Uchiha do will help me greatly. Not being an Uchiha I'll have a few disadvantages, but I'll still be better than I am now, and I won't have to keep it covered all the time. Okay. After we're done I'll arrange an appointment for you tomorrow with Shizune, Tsunade and Makoto, and you will follow their instructions exactly and that's an order. Naruto said, powerfully during the last part. Kakishi nodded immediately. Not that she'd disobey him, but he'd made it an order, something he rarely did, so she had no choice. Sorry I had to do that, but you understand why I did. Now stand straight, and don't move too much, this could take me a few minutes. Naruto said then activated his Doujutsu and advanced it to level 3 as he called up all the memories to his training and lessons with Tsunade, Shizune and Makoto. Kakishi opened her left eye and focused on Naruto. She didn't show it, but she'd never been more nervous in her life. She'd had her Sharingan eye basically as long as she'd had E-cup. She knew Naruto would never dishonor her former teammate's dying gift to her, but as much as she loved Naruto, she wished she could find her other teammate, and almost girlfriend, Rin. She'd intentionally kept out of that loop in case Rin was dead. A moment after he activated level 3 he saw Kakishi open her left eye. Brace yourself, this could hurt. Since getting the mission that morning, and from a note delivered by a beetle, Naruto and Team 7, accompanied by 2 of his favorite, crazy Konoha bitches as he called them, Anko Mitarashi and the recently enhanced Might Mai, who did so to defeat her eternal rival Kakishi, after seeing her enhancement, with Naruto mentally tweaking them so neither would want any further enhancing just to outdo the other. Naruto smiled when he was hugged from behind, and although he knew she was coming he'd still know it was Hinata by the huge squashed against his back. Not that I mind, but why the hug? I wanted to wait, but now Chan asked me to thank you for her. Since she changed her name, everyone has basically forgotten what she was like as Neji, she's a whole new person now. She wanted to thank you personally, but she was preparing for a mission when we got ours and couldn't get enough free time. Hinata said and giggled. Naruto thought a moment then smirked. Slave girl revolt or kunoichi assassin? Hinata giggled again. Slave girl revolt. Kinky bitch. I can't let one of my girls walk around all frustrated, so we'll have a kunoichi party. Hinata's eyes opened wide in surprise. Full harem. When Naruto nodded, she nearly screamed in joy. Keep it a surprise and I might give you a special gift. Naruto said. Unlike the others, Hinata had a special privilege. She didn't have to obey him unless he specifically made it an order, which was good and bad depending on the situation, but for this she had to lock up her inner gossip. Deal? You know I love parties, but I won't tell anyone this time. Naruto turned around and kissed her. I know it'll be hard, but you can do it. July 27th, 6:50 a.m., outside Waterfall Village. Hinata laid out her newly drawn map. I apologize for how it looks, but I'm not much of an artist. It's okay, Hinata. It's a map, not a painting, so tell us what's what. Naruto said. Hinata smiled and nodded. It took me about 3 hours, but this is the layout of the village and where everyone is. The blue circles are the prisoners, the red X's are the enemy kunoichi. They're all women. Anko interrupted. Hinata smiled. I shouldn't have peeked, but I couldn't help myself. They're all well endowed, and many are special. Anko cracked her knuckles, smiling sadistically. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Calm down, Anko. I know the rules as well as you do. If they are all female, normal or special, that means we don't need to kill anyone. Naruto said and tapped his right temple with his finger. Anko pouted a moment. How about trophies? You mean secondary trophies, of course, hair, panties, things like that. Anko immediately nodded yes, a little fear on her face which made him smile subtly. No one else could do that to her and he loved it. Naruto, it's been over a month. She's overdue for her special treat. Tenten said. Naruto glanced at Tenten, then looked at Anko and sighed. Hinata, tell us who everyone is and then we'll divide up and go in. Naruto said, then glanced at Kakishi and smiled when she nodded. Anko bit her bottom lip as she mentally steeled herself. As strong as she was, she knew in her heart she was Naruto's subby whore and he could literally do anything he wanted to her. Naruto, since we're doing this the normal way, that means there'll be fighting. They're all female and Futa. All the girls glanced at Anko and knew she was scared, but they would be too in her place. Anko. Naruto interrupted. Quote. I've gotten a lot better at healing thanks to Tsunade and Shizune, so if you have to bust balls, or anything else, I can heal them, or you, just don't kill anyone. Naruto said and smirked when Anko sighed and smiled happily. And Anko? No poison. Anko nodded. 7:10 a.m., Waterfall Village Square. Naruto watched from a distance as an enemy kunoichi was fighting the last living male in Waterfall, which made him sad they hadn't arrived in time. But then they didn't know how long Waterfall had been under enemy control, and it probably took at least a full day for the beetle to reach Konoha. The boy was about 5 feet 6 inches and was basically, his name was Shibuki as Naruto heard him called. His opponent had wild orange hair that hung to her waist, a green bikini-like top that barely contained her J-cup tits, the biggest of the 9 girls, 3 teams of 3 with a sensei, but there was another woman in charge of everyone. The girl had leather bracers, a green skirt and sandals. The most amazing thing about her, besides her huge chest, she was the youngest girl, and the smallest at only 4 feet 6 inches. Finish him, Issa. One of the 2 girls standing together yelled, most likely her teammates, Naruto figured. He saw the tiny girl nod, stepped up to the terrified Shibuki, yanked him up onto his knees by the hair, then reached down with her right, grabbed his balls. She'd spend at least 10 minutes brutalizing, to the shock and horror of the Waterfall girls, then with a yell crushed his balls to paste. Instead of letting him drop, she moved her hands to the sides of his head as she looked into his eyes, then quickly shifted her grip and with sharp twist, broke his neck. This was obviously not her first kill, only the first Naruto saw her make. The worst part, Naruto thought, was the large group of what had to be mothers and their young daughters. The oldest he figured to be 10 at most, the youngest girls looked about Hanabi's age based on their apparent height. As he could only see their heads and some arms, except for a few sitting in the front. Making them watch their husbands, brothers and fathers slaughtered, and most likely raped and castrated by these girls was cruel, but he could see their side of it. Their culture was obviously anti-male, but he could fix that easily. Empty house 1, single civilian women Watching subtly from the window, Tenton smiled. There were 12 women ranging from 20s to around 40, she figured, all beautiful and with tits ranging from E to H cup. With to one woman that was somewhere between a J and M cup based on her stretched shirt, she wished she had Naruto's gift for judging them. Since there were only 2 guards, it was obvious none of them were kunoichi, though she already knew that much from Hinata. The guards were twins, 5 feet 1 inch she figured, blonde hair in a high ponytail, white tunic shirt and skirt. Impressive F-cup tits, and best of all, both had their skirts up and matching 16, hard feud out, slowly stroking them as they discussed who they'd. Normally Tenton wouldn't do this, but this was a chance to use her perverted side on a mission. She drew her weapons, then suddenly opened the door, and before either could react, threw her Senbon with uncanny accuracy. Her 2-thrown Senbon impaled both girls' lemon-sized balls from the sides. A moment later she was at their sides, grabbed both by the base of their waist-length ponytail and slammed their heads together, knocking both out cold. A quick check confirmed the minimal blood loss and steady pulses. "I'm from Konoha. Do exactly what I tell you. Don't argue or talk down to me because of my age and you'll be okay. Upset me even once and I'll have to tell your family I didn't get here in time to save your womanhood, which could spoil the party we're going to have when this is over," Tenton said as she stared at their chests, then licked her lips pervertedly and rubbed her crotch. The women all glanced at each other, then the oldest woman, who also had the biggest tits, stood. "We agree. Save the others. As a reward, you and your teammates can have anyone you want at a celebration," she said softly. Tenton smiled, then told them where to go and what to do. Once they were gone, she secured the twins, and left her Senbon impaling their testicles, mainly to prevent further injury and as a means of control later. Empty house 2, teens Hinata scanned the room. There were 17 girls in it, 3 of them weren't from there. The way they acted, she figured they were most likely one of the 3 teams. 2 were normal girls, the third was a Fuda, but more shocking, especially now that she got a closer look, she was also a natural cat girl, claw-like nails, slitted eyes, a 4-foot tail and cat ears atop her head. Naruto had made a few cat girls, but she was born a cat girl. Other than being a cat girl, she wasn't anything special. 5 feet tall and only a D cup, the other 2 girls who were between Hinata and the cat girl were special in their own way. The girl on Hinata's right was 5 feet 5 inches, black hair past her butt with D-cup tits, but she had brown skin, a trait she'd heard was only found in lighting country, and she seemed to be a few years older, 15 or 16, Hinata figured. The other girl, on her left, had black hair to her shoulders, but she was only 4 feet 9, about 10, Hinata guessed, but she had huge tits, H-cup if Hinata was right, and she generally was since she was also an early developer, and thanks to Naruto an expert judge of body, and especially, size. Hinata noted where everyone was, decided on the best method to take out the guards. Her Byakugan still active, and set herself in front of the door. Using stealth, and a silent door technique she'd created by accident during her years of sneaking around to follow Naruto, Hinata rushed it at blinding speed, and as she passed between the 2 normal girls lashed out to her sides as only a Hyuga could, and struck both girls with a Hyuga technique that temporarily paralyzed them by disrupting their muscle control, sending both to the floor like rag dolls. Just as the cat girl was turning her head to see what was happening, as she'd been facing away from the door, Hinata grabbed the base of her tail with a special Hyuga grip, her plan to use it as a handle before using her personal gentle fist techniques on the girl's most sensitive areas with her free hand, but that's not what happened. Hinata paused briefly in stunned shock. "Say that again, slower." The girl whimpered pathetically. She was equally terrified and horrified at what had happened. It should have been impossible. "I surrender. Please don't break my tail and I'll do anything you want. I'm also what you call a Futanari. If that pleases you, use my body any way you want. If it doesn't, I'll accept castration. I ask only that if you allow me to live, don't hurt my tail. Any other part of my body is yours to use, abuse, or remove. After quickly running this through her mind, Hinata had an idea. Still standing behind the cat girl, Hinata pulled an item from her pouch. Name and age. Keiha. Age 10. Member of the Masumi clan. Keiha replied submissively, then gasped in shock when something was clamped around the base of her tail that felt like leather. That's a special collar I just placed on your tail. It has seals on it and only 2 people can remove it. It has several effects, and one of them lets me activate it from anywhere. If I do, it'll sever your tail and only my master, and future husband, can heal you and reattach or regrow your tail. Which means from now on, I own you. Hinata said, then used her free hand to reach around and cup Keiha's balls under her skirt. Oh, I can also cause you any level of pain I want as easily as I can sever your tail. Do you need a demonstration? Keiha shook her head. No. You captured and humiliated me. I can never go home again. I'm yours, mistress. Hinata smiled slightly. What she'd said was technically true. The collar-like bands were Anko's. All kunoichi carried them on missions for various uses. The main use, however, was for the balls, men and futa, generally for torture, but occasionally for fun. In this case, it worked perfectly. Hinata turned to the still stunned girls. You all seem to be okay, so strip those 2 bitches, and feel free to hurt their tits, or if they get out of line, then I'll take you somewhere safe until this is over. As for you, Keiha, strip, I want to see you, and bust your balls. Keiha whimpered and nodded. If I may ask, can our master heal any injury? Hinata smiled. Yes, and much more. What favor do you want? Keiha flinched in fear slightly. As a disgrace to my clan, and your slave, I have no right to ask, but I don't know your customs yet, so please forgive me if I'm out of line. If this is what pleases you and master can heal me afterwards, I can learn to love getting my balls busted, or even crushed, if my reward is getting to pleasure you, master, or anyone you allow me to be with. And if it matters, I'm very flexible and can swallow my own down too, and including my balls. Hinata thought about it a moment. Deal. Serve us well and your reward will be greater than you can imagine. Hinata said, then lowered her voice so only Keiha could hear. Betray us, and you'll look at being skinned alive and buried in salt as a quick, merciful death, understood? Keiha's eyes opened very wide in horror, then nodded. Yes, mistress. She replied, then began stripping. Flashback. Earlier that morning. Enough. Anko said forcefully. Listen, Naruto-kun said we can decide who does what. Hinata and Tenten left for their parts almost a minute ago. If we don't do our parts, we'll piss Naruto off, and you know how creative he can be, especially when he's mad, and I'd like to keep my body parts attached and intact. Anko said, took a step back, lifted her skirt with her left and took a wide stance. So I challenge you, winner gets to save her, loser gets the families and main group with Kakishi, except the big bitch, she's Naruto's. Might Mai's got firm, but not hard, at the thought of a challenge. And first pick of the villagers. 8. 4. Anko countered. 6. Mai offered. Deal. Normal rules. I know how you are, so 3 minute time limit, and I'm ahead 9 to 8 in case you forgot. Mai frowned. You only won because you twisted Mai, and Mai was about to break both of yours. Deal. Anko smiled sadistically. She let Mai step up and grab her orange-size balls through her futa bag, then she grabbed Mai's large grapefruits through her green bodysuit, they just barely fit in her hands. Ready? 3, 2, 1 begin. Anko began squeezing hard, shifting her finger around to find those key spots on Mai's bigger balls. As Mai was much stronger than her and could turn her balls to paste with ease, she was happy that they were on a mission, and that wasn't the point of the challenge. Mai smiled when she rolled her wrists while twisting, and Anko muffled a scream as her knees buckled slightly. Since Naruto enhanced me, your hands don't fit around my balls. Mai said, then bending her normal rules for the challenge, shifted her grip slightly, put her fingertips on the weak spots she knew Anko's balls had, and doubled her power as she said. But mind do you, unyouthful whore. Anko bit her bottom lip to keep from screaming. She could feel it, her balls were ready to pop, which meant Mai had learned about her weak spots, but how she knew didn't matter. She was almost going all out and Mai's bigger balls weren't even half compressed. She hated doing it, but she had no choice. I submit, Mai, your balls are stronger than mine, Anko said as she released Mai's balls. Mai squatted, pulling Anko to her knees by her balls. As my prize for winning, you will promise me that you'll find someone else. You aren't worthy of being my rival, only Kakishi-chan. If you do not, when this mission is over, I will tell Naruto-kun you broke your promise to obey the rules and I'll have him remove Futa parts. I agree, Mai, you're not my rival anymore. Please, don't bust my balls, Anko pleaded, totally humbled. Mai released Anko, took the tin of Hinata's healing salve from her pouch and held it out. I'm sorry I had to do that to you, Anko-chan. But you brought this on yourself. Still on her knees, holding her balls hunched forward, Anko straightened up and took the tin. Hi, and I forgive you. I'll do what we agreed on. Go, I'll use this and meet you as planned. And Mai, I'm sorry. Mai smiled, as only she and Rock Lita could, then dashed off. End flashback. Empty house 3. Fu. Mai had been studying the room, and one of the two people in it, for several minutes and had seen what she needed. The beetle was obviously from the green-haired girl shackled in the corner. The cuffs on her wrists obviously had chakra suppression seals. She'd heard the rumors that Waterfall had a Jinchuriki, the seven-tailed rhino beetle, and now she'd confirmed everything, for the village files, and her master, Naruto. As the girl was, until Naruto charmed her, she was off limits. The guard, however, was fair game, and to a point, for injuries, but she knew what Naruto could do, which gave her plenty of options. Mai smiled a moment. This was why Anko wanted this mission, but she was Futa enough to take it. The guard was 5 feet 5 inches, brown, high in a braid to her waist, but one of her best features was she had 6 arms, each with an elbow-length fingerless leather glove. That, and she was barefoot, told Mai this girl was a fighter. Her muscular build was an obvious clue as well. Her best feature, however, was her chest. While her sleeveless top did little to hide it, she would have rivaled Tsunade if not for one thing. Her massive chest was actually 4 F-cup tits. Mai said herself, disappointed the multi-endowed girl wasn't a Futa, but she was excited to see what Naruto would give her. And would her Futa enhancement be multiple and make Anko jealous? Mai found herself hoping, yes, with some guilt. Mai threw open the door, rushed in and drove her fists, to the wrists, into the girl's upper tits and crushed them against her ribcage, then pulled back her arms enough to wrap her big hands around the ends of the girl's big tits and froze when her wrists were grabbed by the girl's upper arms. Mai gasped softly in shock when her erect nipples were grabbed, hard, by the girl's middle's hands, then her balls by her bottom hands, and all with a painful vice-like grip. Despite her size and age, Mai was amazed by how strong this girl was. Nice attack. That would have crippled most women and dropped any other girl. Unfortunately for you, bitch, I'm not most girls, and my name is Kara. Now let's see how good you are. Main smiled big. Might Mai, and I accept your challenge. Before anything, I would like to greatly thank each and every one of you for your support in this time of darkness for us, and I want you all to know I have forwarded the emails with your support to the family so they can hear it directly from you. His siblings more than anyone would like to extend their appreciation not just for the support but for loving their brother's work and staying with him over the years. Now, I'm sorry to make you all deal with story updates again. But after an influx of support and questions, I found that many people all had similar questions or concerns, and I figured it would be better to answer everyone at once and make it available for future people that may find his stories. I will answer the questions that were more general first before some of the more personal concerns that were posted. First and foremost, many have asked to know what happened to him. While I won't go into exact details for obvious reasons, I can say that he was found by his sister in the evening last week sitting on his couch like nothing was wrong, however he was not breathing and unresponsive. After being pronounced dead by natural causes, the family decided against an autopsy because, to quote his brother, knowing exactly what did it isn't going to bring him back, but the doctors said that the most likely cause was a sudden massive heart attack or a sudden stroke, and since he had had a heart attack once in the past, they said that raised the chances even higher. He went quickly and quietly, from what I was told from the time his sister talked to him on the phone, which he sounded and acted completely normal, to her showing up at his apartment was only about 20 minutes. The next question I was asked is, will I be continuing his stories personally? The simple answer to this is no, I won't be. Sadly, I have not the skill or the imagination to continue what he started. This is one of the reasons that it was decided to open them up to the fans and let them take what he started and build upon it as a way to let his memory live on. Building on that, permission to continue or use parts of a story is given to all, and you do not need to ask. All that is asked is that credit is given to Mike so that his memory can be spread through you all, the people that loved his stories as much as he did. I have also been asked if I will make a list of all the authors taking up his stories and such, which I had not intended on doing originally due to the open invite for his stories to be used. Now lastly, a few have expressed their concern if this was legitimate, and while it does frustrate me, I can honestly say that their concern is not illogical, and as such I cannot be mad at them. While this is the internet and 100% proof is impossible, I can assure you this is not a joke, and sadly he is gone. It has been asked why his family would even care, and I feel that it is a reasonable question. To be honest, his family knew he wrote, as he read and wrote frequently growing up. They had no idea he had ever posted them somewhere for people to read. However, I brought this to their attention for many reasons. I have experienced great stories just stopping before many times over the years, and I know it is not fun or fair to the fans, but mostly because I knew they would want to know. I offered to delete the stories for them if they desired or leave them. They obviously chose to leave them as they didn't want to remove what was a big part of his life from the world. I am the one that proposed to them that his stories be opened up for the fans to continue to let you all continue his legacy, and they agreed. I hope this cleared up most of the questions and concerns I have received, and to those that it doesn't, I have tried to read and reply to as many as I can. If I have missed a questions that you have or a concern, please feel free to PM and I will try my best to get to them. Thank you for your time and all the support you have shown.